Are you ready for pain? Are you ready for suffering? If the answer is yes, then you're ready.
Well, this is just lovely. I had a neighbor confront me for using the women's restroom. I lived here for 4.5 years. Everyone should know that I'm a trans woman. I've always been known as Kaylee. I've always used she, her pronoun. I've been having some stomach issues because of Trulicity, and I had to use the bathroom real quick, and they're single-use bathrooms, and it's the only place that I feel safe using the women's bathroom. Well, I got done and got out, and this neighbor was talking to another neighbor and started pointing out the sign. I knew exactly what she was talking about because there's a big old woman sign. And I'm like, is there a problem? She's like, yeah, you're using the woman's restroom. You're a man. And I said, I'm a trans woman. And she's like, no, you're a man. And she kept saying that over and over. And she kept saying, you're not a she, you're a he. You shouldn't be using it. You were born a man. And just over and over. And honestly, I just lost it. Lost it and just started screaming and swearing. I just couldn't handle it. This is my home. This is my safe place. I should be able to use the restroom. The apartment manager knows I'm trans. Everyone knows my name is Kaylee. And then my group of friends, I thought my friends were all starting to yell at me saying I escalated and because she had 2 kids. I didn't even see the kids. They were there and I just lost it. Fight, flight, or freeze, and I fought. You don't know what it's like to be a trans person. And then my one friend started yelling at me, and none of them stood up for them. They blamed me that I was the one that was at fault. When none of them stood up to me when this person kept calling me he, she, he, man, like triggering and awful. Like, I deal with enough on here. Like, my apartment should be a safe place. There's nothing safe for a trans person. There is nothing safe for a trans person. This is the life. And it fucking sucks. And even when you have your friends who don't have your back. And then my one friend, Annette, just started screaming at me. And I'm like, start screaming back at her. I'm done. These are fair weather friends. These are not the friends that I need, want, and deserve. And if I can't find it here, I will find it elsewhere. So, I don't know. I'm so fucking triggered and feeling so awful. Like, I just want to die. It fucking sucks. Here's what the men's and women's groups. So they're single-use bathrooms. So you can see there's the men's. Here's the woman's. Oh, thank you. As you can see, it's both single-use restrooms. There's only one stall, so they're all the same. So it shouldn't matter what restroom I use, and I should feel safe as a resident here to use the restroom that I identify with. And I'm going to continue to do so, and I'll continue to stand up for myself.
A couple things here. Transgender is an adjective. So you don't mind trans people. But I was going to finish that sentence for you. You don't mind trans people until they don't fit into the box that you decide transgender people should fit in. You don't get to decide what's too far for someone and their body. You get to be respectful or get out. Anybody with a functioning uterus can give birth. And not everyone with a uterus is a woman. So not every person who gives birth is a mom or a breastfeeder. Some are birthing people, some are dads, and some are chest feeders. If that bothers you, I highly suggest some therapy or self-reflection. Because someone living their life as best they can impacts you none. And these new inclusive terms still impact you none.
Point like a cactus, I've been a real bitch, you the last one laughing. Yeah, kitty, kitty, yeah, kitty, kitty, yeah, kitty, yeah, kitty, kitty, yeah, kitty, kitty. Yeah, kitty, kitty, yeah, kitty, kitty, yeah, kitty, yeah, kitty, kitty, yeah, kitty, kitty.
Stitch this and tell me you're white without telling me you're white.
I'm not afraid that a traffic stop will cost me my life.
Hi everyone, a lot of people have been asking who is considered LGBTQ+ and who's not. So I thought I'd give my definition of it. So I define LGBTQ+ as someone who's one or like all or some combination of these 3 things. They're not cisgender, not identifying with the gender they were assumed at birth, so transgender or non-binary, not heterosexual, so they could be gay or bisexual, not attracted to like exclusively people of the opposite gender, or somewhere on the asexual spectrum, so they experience less or no or a different type of sexual attraction.
Oh my god, did you call me baby? Maybe, is that okay? Yeah, it's cool, I liked it, cool.
Well, this is just lovely. I had a neighbor confront me for using the women's restroom. I lived here. I think it's both sad and funny that these comments are proven why it's unsafe for trans people in the world we live in. Also, how many of these people watch the full video? Hardly none of them. Because I never once said that I use women's restroom everywhere. But of course, they just hear what they want to hear and leave their hateful little comments. So many people said, well, what about the woman's rights and feelings and the children's feelings? They weren't even going to use the restroom. Again, these were single-use restrooms. And your women and children are safe because I don't use the woman's restroom. In my apartment building, it's probably about the only place that I do because I feel safe, because it's single-use, it's in my apartment, and I'm allowed to use the women's restroom. And I'm allowed to use the women's restroom anywhere I go because I'm a trans woman, but I don't because of safety. You would be surprised how many threats of violence, threats of death that I got, and how many people that defended those comments. I even made a video and got so much hate on it. It's disgusting to be reminded of how many hateful, ignorant people there are in this world that just don't give a damn. Keeping me out of the women's restroom and other trans people will not keep any woman or child safe. A predator is going to do it no matter what. And I've seen women on here, trans women, who do pass, where you all say the same thing. You're not a woman. You're a biological male. The same shit. So whether I have the beard or not is regardless. And I've also had people say, well, if it's a single-use bathroom, why don't you just use the men's restroom? Because imagine living in a world where you don't feel safe. And the one place that you feel safe and can be your true self, like, it's not going to hurt anybody that I use that bathroom. The only thing it'll do, it'll lift me up and be able to feel like I could be safe and do what I want to do. Most of the time I can't. Imagine living a life like that. I'm not just denied where I go shit. I'm denied by who I am inside. Period. And that whole video was not just about being hate crimed, but it was also my friends who didn't stand up for me and losing my friends. That's been really hard. Friends are supposed to stick up for each other. And I realized that they're not friends. So, but keep on keeping on. This video I make money off of it. So, like, just every single minute somebody leaves a hate comment. So, thanks for the cha-cha-ching, honey bunches of oats.
This attack. I have lived in fear of him, and for a long time I tried to dismiss his actions towards me as a twisted form of love. Now that he no longer has any power over me, I have come to understand that the immense mental hold he held over me was incredibly damaging on many levels. His abuse traumatized me to the point where for months I wasn't able to stop crying. I couldn't sleep or I'd have night terrors. I was constantly emotionally distressed and I lost interest in living. I couldn't comprehend and overcome what he had done to me. Over the years since the assault, on many occasions the invasive flashbacks were so excruciating that they made me feel there was no way out but to take my own life. My hope in speaking out about the abuse I endured at the hands of Armie Hammer is that he will be held accountable.
So here we go again, another white cop murders a black man. This time they show up at the scene. This guy is sitting in his stopped car. They declare that he looks intoxicated. Remove him from the car. They say he began resisting, that he was in a medical condition. So what do? They handcuffed him, put him on the ground, and then put a knee in the back of his neck for 5 to 10 minutes as he begged and pleaded that he couldn't breathe. His nose was bleeding, and he eventually died right there while somebody was filming it. So when people want to scream and cry that white privilege doesn't exist, here's my example of where white privilege exists quite heavily. I can walk down the street, have an encounter with a cop, maybe intoxicated, but me being white, I know that won't happen to me. Black people don't have that luxury. That's white privilege.
Story.
The N-word is just as bad as the word cracker, and I'm going to explain to you why.
Alright, I'm not going to do the obvious and say the John Mulaney joke, because many of other creators have said that, many other people in the comments are saying that. I decided, fuck it, I'll watch your whole video, so I did. I get your sentiment. I think you're approaching this with good faith. I just think you're a little bit ignorant about this. So you demonstrate the weight behind the N-word, and obviously the weight behind cracker as well. But what makes the N-word worse is that the weight is of an oppressing class to an oppressed class. Calling someone a cracker is calling out an oppressive class. Or it's calling someone an oppressive class. Calling out an oppressor or accusing someone of being an oppressor is not as bad as oppressing an oppressed class. The N-word is worse because it follows a history and long-standing system of oppression against a race of people. This is me explaining in the most charitable sense, assuming you're good faith.